Iceland isn't just glaciers, puffins, and cool waterfalls. It's home to some of the most fascinating churches with even more fascinating stories. I'm Joey, an evangelical striving for church unity. Today, I'm going to take you through 3 different churches, each one representing a major chapter in the story of Icelandic Christianity. We start our journey at Thingvellir, a location that is highly important to Icelandic history. At Thingvellir stands Thingvellir Church, a quaint chapel representing over 1,000 years of Christian history in Iceland. That's why, even though the building was locked, I felt like this was the perfect place to start our adventure. It was here at Thingvellir that the Norse settlers of Iceland would make decisions for the entire community. Early on in Iceland's development, Christian settlers come and try to bring the gospel of Christ to the locals. And as the pagans and the Christians try to coexist, tensions naturally come up. The tension was reaching a boiling point, and in the year 1000, the Icelanders had to decide if they were going to stay pagan or become Christian. And the guy that was head of parliament this time was essentially like a pagan wizard. And so he tells everybody, I'm going into my tent, I'm gonna cover myself with a cloak, leave me alone for 24 hours. The 24 hours were excruciating for the locals, but the time passed, and eventually he emerges from his tent. And the pagan wizard looks at everybody and says, we're going to worship the God that is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. After that, all the Norse temples were torn down and churches were erected in their place. The timber and church bell for the first edition of Thingvellir Church was sent by King Olaf of Norway. This is the 4th construction of Thingvellir Church because, if you didn't know, the nature in Iceland is extremely volatile. Now, this newest edition of Thingvellir Church stands as a monument to the work of Christ and the story of this beautiful country. But the story doesn't stop here. Skalholt Church is one of Iceland's best kept secrets. It stands out amid the beautiful Icelandic countryside, far removed from the rest of society. As you enter, your eyes are immediately drawn to the mosaic above the altar, which depicts Christ formed by the summer landscape. In general, the art in this church was just beautiful. The stained glass was hypnotizing to look at. I've seen a few stained glass windows in my day, but this one specifically at Skalholt Church has to be one of my favorites. This is a more modern take on Skalholt Church though. It was originally one of the first churches built after the conversion of Iceland at Thingvellir. After that, Christianity exploded, and it's credited with huge developments in Icelandic culture. For instance, before Christianity, you had to just remember all the laws of Iceland. But now they were written down in a common dialect. Architecture increased significantly, and Skalholt became a hub of Christian culture in Iceland. A large settlement was built around it, and it became the seat of Iceland's first bishop in 1056. Since the construction of the first Skalholt Church, there have been 9 other churches constructed. Because, as I said before, Icelandic nature is nuts. 2 Skalholt churches burned down, 1 was damaged in a storm, and then it was rebuilt and then caught on fire and burnt down again, along with the entire settlement around it. So that's why most of the things in this church building are new. The oldest relic of Skalholt Church is the pulpit, dating back to the 16th century. During the second fire, Thorlak's booth was built. Essentially, it's the Church of Bilbo Baggins. This sod roof chapel served as the worship space for the community of Skalholt while they reconstructed their original church building. It was named after Saint Thorlak, the patron saint of Iceland. This worship space just felt so quaint, and in a sense, maybe it felt a little bit holier to me because of that. Something about the simplistic feel of the wood, hearing the wind and the rain outside, looking at the image of Christ at the end of the hall. It was a unique experience, and I lingered in that space for a bit. Saint Thorlak isn't the only person memorialized at Skalholt though. This church contains a crypt where the stone coffin of another bishop of Iceland, Paul Johnson, I think that's how you pronounce it, is on display, among other relics from the medieval era of Icelandic Christianity. But then, the Protestant Reformation happens, and Iceland sides with Martin Luther. Catholicism was run out of the country, and the majority of churches are now Lutheran churches, including this bad boy, one of the most well-known landmarks of Iceland. This is Hallgrimskirkja It's the tallest church in the country of Iceland, and it's pretty new. It officially opened in 1986. The architecture is supposed to reflect the basalt columns that can be found all over Iceland. And everywhere you go in the city, you can see this cathedral. As I entered into the interior, I noticed it was just as cold and imposing as the outside was. The vaulted ceilings were massive, and while I do love imposing churches, this one felt more like a supervillain lair to me. And yet, I do have to appreciate the architect trying to pull from the natural surroundings of the landscape. That's something I think we need to do more in our architecture, is play to the strengths of our local areas. The highlight of the cathedral for me was the organ. It was made in Germany for this cathedral, and it is officially the largest musical instrument in Iceland. The official state religion of Iceland has been Lutheranism since the Reformation. However, the status of the Lutheran Church in Iceland is not faring well. There's been a steady decline in members as Icelanders become more and more secular. It brings to my mind a lot of questions that Christendom is wrestling right now, especially in the Western world. Who or what is to blame for the drop in Christianity? How do we stop it? How should we stop it? These are questions every branch in Christianity wrestles with, because every branch of Christianity has a story of God's glory woven through it, and I think that story is worth saving. Anyways, thanks for touring some Icelandic churches with me. There were a lot of other cool churches I saw that didn't make it into the final cut. You may have seen glimpses of them here and there, but I made shorts about all of them, so go check out some of those. And while you're at it, there are some other nifty videos about denominations and church unity that I've made. Since we've been talking about Lutheranism, I recommend starting with this one. You can go watch whatever you want, it's the internet. Until next time, I'm Joey, this is Christianity United.